You're listening to Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk. Each week, your host, Polly Requa, interviews veterinarians and individuals in the pet industry from across the nation answering pet questions. Bark and Wag podcast is produced weekly for your enjoyment, and show notes can be found at barkandwag.com under the podcast tab. That's BARKNWAG.com. Please remember to subscribe to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk.
Thank you for listening to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk. Bark and Wag is dedicated to protecting our dogs through advocacy, education, and supporting like-minded dog lovers by selling custom pet products. Bark and Wag is excited to announce our new partnership with a Colorado hemp farm to produce a line of CBD products for your pets. Bark and Wag has CBD pet tincture available in 300, 750, 1200, and 2400 milligrams. Bark and Wag CBD is pet safe, no THC, it's made in the USA, and is CO2 extracted. Please check out Bark and Wag's website, barkandwag.com. That is BARK, to see our line of CBD and awesome merchandise. We love pooch ideas for podcasts and merchandise, so anytime send an email to Polly at barkandwag.com with your suggestions.
Welcome to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk. I'm your host, Polly Requa. Today we're talking to Shelby Bobosky, Executive Director of Texas Humane Network. Welcome, Shelby. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I wanted to have you back to discuss why it's so important that we educate our children on how to be pet owners.
Absolutely. So, through humane education, we strive to help both children and adults develop empathy and increase their understanding of personal responsibility for the animals in which they have dominion over. And so through any kind of education geared towards the humane aspects, we can help people, children, and adults alike. We can teach about the environment, and they can become motivated to make a positive difference for the world. You know, our society has become increasingly aware of the connections between animal abuse and violence against people, whether it's child abuse, elder abuse, domestic violence. So making the need to promote kindness and empathy through effective humane education is now even more important than ever in our communities.
So you had said that there was a story.
Yes, this is really a story that tells it all. So through our organization, the Texas Humane Network, we have what we call the Humane Library. And it's books for children from pre-kindergarten all the way to high school that teach empathy and kindness towards animals. And so we have a program where we donate these humane libraries to school libraries that have high incidence of neglect or abuse in their zip codes. And I befriended one of the librarians after we made a donation, and she called to tell me the following story. She said she had a fourth grader that had checked out all of the books that were appropriate for her age that we had donated. And I said, gosh, that's wonderful. She said, yes. I said to her, well, wow, you must really be enjoying these books. And she looked to the librarian and said, I am. And I think I finally have the courage to tell my dad to stop kicking our dog. And it was such an amazing and powerful statement, because when we know better, we do better. And there are kids that are taught the cycle of violence. And so if they see their pets being abused, they are likely to be abusers themselves. And so by teaching kids the humane treatment of animals through books, through an actual humane curriculum that we are working on, then we can stop that cycle of violence and truly create a more humane tomorrow.
Exactly. Well, thanks for being on the podcast. If people are interested in finding out more information on the Texas Humane Network, how do they get a hold of you?
Absolutely. My email address is shelby@texashumanenetwork, all one word, .org. And you also can go to our website, www.texashumanenetwork.org, where you will find information on our humane curriculum, our humane library project, and also just general understanding of how to teach kids not only basic pet ownership, like you don't pick up a cat by its tail, and such simple lessons like that, but also teaching kindness to animals.
Very powerful. So thank you for being a guest on the show, and I look forward to having you back and learning more about the success of all of the projects you're working on.
Thank you again, Polly.
Thank you for listening to Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk. If you like what you just heard, we hope you'll pass along our web address, www.barkandwag.com, to your friends and other pet owners. Have a pressing question for a veterinarian? Ask your question at barkandwag.com under the podcast tab. This has been a KFR production. Join us next time for another edition of Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk.